Chris Moore. I'm a big fan. I used to love watching you play. I was only a young lad when you won the Benson and Hedges Championship, so I was totally snooker mad, obviously.
Aye.
So it's a real treat to get you on the podcast just for a little bit of a chat with us, mate. I really do appreciate it.
No problem, mate. No problem.
So it's crazy times we're living in, Chris. Now, you are a very popular, apart from being a really popular player when you were on the circuit, you're also a very popular snooker coach, and obviously lockdown's going to be having a massive impact on you. How's it been for you generally, Chris, and especially with your coaching and stuff?
This year's been a good 11 months. The last 11 months has just been a nightmare.
Yeah.
The club that I coach in's shut down, and just couldn't do anything. I didn't have access to a table to do any online coaching, stuff like that. So really, I've worked probably a month in the last year. So I'm itching to get back. Luckily, a man in Long Nidre who I know gave me an option of using his table to coach in December. So I did do that. So I managed to get a month of coaching in December, and then obviously the tight restrictions again, January, February, I've had to stop again.
Yeah.
But it looks like I can go back in March. So
I think especially someone like yourself that has a coaching job where you have to be around people all the time, especially in like a snooker hall or a pool hall where it seems to have hit. I know it's hit every industry really hard, but an industry where you have to be around people. I know I saw something that you posted on Facebook not long ago where you can still do it, but it's kind of like very socially distanced now. Is that something that you're moving forward with?
Yeah, I'll have to I don't know how long, just need to try and keep. Normally when you're coaching anyway, you can stay apart for the player. You don't need to be standing right next to them, so it's quite easy to socially distance if you're coaching one-to-one. So it shouldn't be a problem moving forward, but it's probably something that most of us will need to keep doing for maybe another year or so, so the government keeps saying.
I think people are saying that competitions might be starting up again, normal pool competitions and all this, in the next 4 or 5 months. And I'm thinking, I can't see that happening over the next 4, 5, 6, 7 months.
It's quite hard, I mean, I know going by the tournaments that we have in Scotland, junior events, senior events, there can be 32, 64 players in the one venue. Then you've got the mums and dads and the staff for the club and the referees, and it's just chaotic. So I think it's going to be very hard to even hold tournaments even before summer. But it's just one of these things. What can you do? Nobody was expecting this to happen.
Yeah, you never know, do you? It's the old conspiracy theories are out there.
Aye, that's right. Aye. Sorry, on you go, mate.
Oh, that's all right. No worries. And also, Chris, extremely talented snooker player. You're under 19, number one player in Scotland at only 15 years old, which is a pretty good going. Semi-finalist at the Welsh Open, British Open, and the Grand Prix. Benson and Hedges LG Cup champion. You've played for your country at the Nations Cup, and now a very well-known and respected snooker coach. Chris, where did it start for you, mate? How old were you when you picked up a cue?
Well, to be honest with you, I hadn't even heard of snooker. I woke up one Christmas morning, my mum and dad had bought me a wee 6-foot snooker table, and I'm looking at it thinking, what's that? But then as soon as I had a game, I was just absolutely hooked.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get off the table. And I can remember getting my pals back after school, come and get a game of snooker, and that's how it all started. Then
just love it straight away, love it immediately.
I just loved it, but I didn't until they bought me that table. I'd never seen one.
Wow.
I'd never seen a snooker table. And then my granddad started taking me once a week to this social club. Me and him would have a game on a Saturday morning, and then it just grew for there. Before I knew it, I was probably playing every day, doing in my local snooker club after school and stuff. Just totally hooked.
Did you love it? Did you have a natural ability straight away?
Aye. I don't think I was that naturally gifted a player. I was one of the players that had to just work hard. I was working 6-7 days a week, 6 hours a day, every day, most of it on my own. but I suppose you've got to have a certain amount of talent to start off with, you know. So I suppose I did have a bit of natural ability, but then that's not enough. You've got to work hard.
I suppose if you keep missing balls when you start, you're soon going to get sick of it, aren't you? So you must have, It's when you whack in the back of the pockets with them balls, like, oh, I don't know what I enjoy this game. I'm loving that.
That's right. I mean, I found it hard to miss on the 6-foot table, and then I thought, right, I need to go into a bigger table now. And then obviously straight away you're no great, but it's like anything, The more I practiced and just kept at it, I just kept noticing an improvement, you know, and it was quite a rapid improvement because obviously I turned pro at 16 when they opened the game up, and obviously I didn't know how well I was going to do, but I knew I had a chance if I worked hard, and touch wood, I was one of the lucky ones that managed to get a breakthrough and do well in snooker, you know.
So when you started getting better, did you start watching snooker? Because like you say, you didn't even know what it was prior. So
I can mind watching Alex Higgins and Jimmy White. Well, I've got a vivid childhood memory of being 5 minutes for the house in the car with my mum and dad, and I knew Higgins was playing in the World Championship. I can't remember if it was a final or what, but I just remember he was playing, and I kept saying to my dad, "Hurry up and get home, because I need to watch Alex Higgins on the telly," you know. And certain things stick in your mind, And I can just remember that. Just used to love watching Higgins and Jimmy White on TV and got hooked on that. And but I must admit, I was probably one of the most sort of hard-working professionals. I know a lot of them are hard-working, but I think there's a few lazy ones as well. But I was in the club every day, especially if I had a tournament on. If I didn't have a tournament on, I'd maybe take a Sunday off or something, you know. So if I didn't do that, though, I wouldn't have done anything in the game, you know. I had to rely on my hard work, you know.
It must have been strange, like you say. Looking back, you said that you were a big fan of Alex and Jimmy, and I mean you played Jimmy a few times, and the few times that you've played him, you've beat him, you know, the Welsh Open and the Welsh Open and Irish Masters.
Yes, that's right. You've done well with your research, eh?
Oh, I've got them.
Yes, I played Jimmy twice, 3 times maybe, and I beat him every time.
Yeah.
And it's just such a buzz. Like, you've grown up watching the guys, and when they're at the top of their game, then the next minute you're on the same table as them in this big arena, like packed out. And it's a bit surreal, eh? You're sort of saying, "Is this happening?
How did I get here? What happened?"
But I remember I played them in Ireland. The crowd, because I was winning easy, the crowd were starting to try and put me off on crucial shots, like stamping their feet on the stanchions and try to put me off on vital shots. But luckily, I didn't miss, and I kept them under pressure.
Wow, nobody likes to see Jimmy lose 5-1, I suppose.
That's right. So, and then I beat him in the Regal Welsh as well, as you said. But it was a bit surreal playing the guy. And then once you've played them once or twice, it just becomes normal.
Yeah. So what was it like when, like I was going to say that, playing somebody who you admired so much? It must have been, like you say, it must have been a very surreal moment. But is that what you say? Once you've got over the initial, right, because these are people you've watched kind of growing up, like as well, you know, like idolized in effect, then you've played them. Well, and you know, not only that, you shook their hands at the end of the game and you're victorious. That's and then that must be an extremely surreal feeling.
It is, I mean, I can remember when I played Jimmy for the first time, the Regal Welsh. I think I was 4-2 down, and I probably had a bad start because I was kind of a bit in awe of him and thinking, am I actually on the same snooker table as Jimmy White, playing him in a ranking event, you know? And then I think when it hit me, when I was 4-2 down, it hit me like, right, I need to just forget who I'm playing now and go on with the match. I've got a match to win. Luckily, I won the last 3 frames. But it was the same with all the guys, Hendry, O'Sullivan, Higgins. The first time you play them, you're a wee bit in awe because of who they are. Yeah. But then once you've done it once, it's just normal,
Especially if you've been one of those players who it didn't just come natural. Like, you had natural ability, but like you say, you've had to work and graft, and then you've kind of, your graft's got you to where you are. Instead of some people who with natural ability who can just maybe don't need to put as much practice in, and then they can just find themselves in a quarterfinal, semi-final of a ranking and be like, well, do you know? Whereas you've kind of, like you say, you've had to take the ability that you had, but graft your ass off type of thing to get to where you were.
See, the thing is, over the years, I've seen a lot of snooker players who had 50 times more talent, natural ability than me, but didn't do nothing in the game because they didn't work. They didn't what they thought their natural ability was enough, which it's no. I mean, even ask Ronnie O'Sullivan, he said it numerous times on the telly. If he doesn't work hard, he feels rusty, doesn't play anywhere near to the level he can.
Yeah.
Then the next minute he tells you he's practicing again and he's back to looking his best, you know.
Yeah.
So even guys like Federer and Djokovic and Nadal, it's tennis. I've read some of their books and they say they worked their socks off. You can't rely on natural ability.
I know a lot of the people talk about Federer. You know? Yeah, but like you say, a lot of people talk about Federer and Jesus. Like how old he still looks 20-year-old.
That's right, unbelievable. And even Tiger Woods, look at the work he put in. He didn't just turn up on a golf course without practice and win tournaments. You know, I think a lot of people, like especially the public, think they guys that have natural ability don't work hard. They can just turn up and win. No, they need to work very hard, and then their natural ability pulls them through. That's why they win tournaments, you know.
Yeah, as well. I mean, I've talked to a few people about this as well. When I was talking we were on about like mid-range players who, when they get to like a TV stage, a lot of public don't realise the amount of games that these players have had to play just to get to these TV stages as well. Yeah. Like the amount of talent that's out there, like trying to fight for these, 32, 64 players in a competition. They don't realise how, you have to have put the work in practicing before you get anywhere near these outside tables to practice to get there. Right. And if you haven't been practicing, you might as well just wave goodbye.
Aye, nah. Even see if I turned the odd occasion I was lazy in practice. See, when I turned up at a tournament, I just didn't feel right. I thought I didn't deserve to win the day, and it kind of a lot of it is in the mind, eh?
Yeah.
Whereas if you know you've worked hard, even if you play bad and lose, you can still forgive yourself. Eh? But if you know you've been lazy and lose, that's when it starts playing on your mind, you know. So, but thankfully, that was just the odd occasion with me where I maybe just had a bad couple of weeks and I got lazy and stuff. Normally, every tournament I turned up in I normally gave it my all, you know.
Yeah. So were you good at school, Chris, or was it a snooker hall education like a lot of the lads?
I went to school. If I didn't, my mum and dad would have killed me. But I was not interested one bit in school, and my mum and dad knew that. I think I left school with 1 O grade. Left school just before I was 16, I think. And the O grade I got was accounts as well. You'd think it would have been something else, but I got my O grade in accounts. But I knew I was wanting to play snooker. Yeah. So when I went to school, I wasn't concentrating or what to do well. I just had it in my mind, right, I'll be playing snooker. That's it.
But it must have been hard to stay motivated though, because like at school, because like you said, like I mentioned, you were an extremely fast learner. Like you were like you said, the number one under 19 player in England in Scotland. Sorry, at 15 years old. I mean, how do you go to school the next day and concentrate on like lessons that you're not interested in when all you want to be is on the table?
That's right. I was basically just there and body at school. Played with my pals and whatever. But when I was in the classroom, especially when I was at secondary school, I can mind getting chucked out the French class just about every lesson because I wasn't listening. And but the thing is, I mean, I wasn't guaranteed to do well at snooker.
Yeah.
But luckily, my mum didn't let me leave school and play snooker straight away. She made me get a job in the Royal Bank, so I worked there for a year, and then I turned pro and practiced full time. You know.
So just in case you had something to fall back on.
As soon as I had something to fall back on if I didn't make it at snooker, you know. Yeah. But it's amazing. When I joined the bank, I was actually professional at the same time as working. in the bank, and I think I lost my first 8-9 matches, like, because I wasn't practicing as much as I had to.
Yeah.
And then I said to my manager, I says, look, this is no use. I says, I can't work in the bank and try and be a professional player at the same time. So he had a word with my mum and said, like, listen, if he jacks in his job in the bank, if he comes down, cleans the tables in the morning, irons the table, I'll pay him the same money that the bank are paying him, and he can just then play all day if he wants. So my mum agreed to that, and so that's what happened. And then I think it was 2 months after that, 3 months after that, I won 10 games in a row, qualified for the Crucible, my first season. So if I hadn't have done that at that point, I might have been one of the guys that turned pro and just done absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And had to get a job, a normal job, you know. So I always think of that it was quite a lucky break I had, just getting offered that by my manager, and then I could practice non-stop. And then as soon as I put the practice in, that's when I got my rewards, you know.
Was there anybody that you could actually practice with, Chris, at your age, like round the area that you were living in?
Yes, I practiced a lot with Craig McGilvery, who was pro, and I'm still good friends with Craig. We practiced a lot, but it was really I was practicing on my own, really.
Yeah.
And then getting my tournaments in. That's when I was getting my match practice. Basically, was just playing the junior events and senior events in Scotland. You know, getting your experience through them.
You turned, I know we've mentioned, but you did turn pro at a very young age. I mean, it wasn't long until you won the Benson and Hedges, beating your countryman Alan McManus in the final. I mean, it must have been nice to get your hand on that, on the silverware, and won over Alan as well, I suppose.
Aye, I mean, again, after I qualified for the Crucible, my first season, I think the B&H Championship was at the beginning of like season 2, and I think it had a lot to do with the cue that I had. I found this cue, well, I bought a cue off a guy, and I actually found it hard to miss with this cue. It was just unbelievable. Just wherever I pointed this cue, that was it. That's where the ball went.
Like a magic wand.
Aye, it was just unbelievable. And it just clicked in that tournament. I remember I got to the final, and I knew I didn't even need to win the final. I'd already qualified for the Masters because Alan was in the top 16 already.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of free roll, that final. But I remember I won 9-1, and Lord Annandale, the referee, came up to me and says, Chris, that was like the top 8 performance. That was different class. And I mean, I was ranked 80 or 90 in the world at the time. So that gave me a lot of confidence, hearing that for one of the top referees, you know.
Yeah.
So that got me off to a good start. My first 2 years qualifying for the world and winning the Benson and Hedges, you know.
How long did you keep that cue for? Did you keep it through your career?
I used it all my career, but what happened was, I think it was the 3rd or 4th season, I left the cue in the club for 2-3 months during the summer, while I was having a break, and I went back and the cue had warped.
No.
I think I must have left it too near a radiator or something. So I actually thought in my head, I'll need to bin that. So the whole of the next season, I basically used a rack cue in the club, which, needless to say, I didn't have a good season.
Yeah.
So I think it was at the end of that season, I thought, I'm going to pull my old cue, have a look. So I sent it down to a guy in Stoke, Tony Walshaw, who's brilliant with cues. And I says to him, is there anything you can do with this? He says, aye, I'll straighten it, and I'll need to make it for a 1-piece into a 3/4. Didn't quite have the same hit as it did before, but I managed to use that the rest of my career, adding bits on, taking bits off though. But aye, so luckily I used that all my life, really.
Oh, I bet that's one of them things that sticks in your mind, at warping that cue. But you're thinking,
if I had kept that cue as a 1-piece, how it was, well, I think I might have done better than what I actually did. As soon as I tampered with the cue, it just didn't have the same balance and the same strike. But because I was terrible with new cues, so I was lost without my cue, you know. I was one of the guys that had to just keep using the same cue all the time. I couldn't chop and change, you know.
I'd say a lot. I mean, I know Steve Maguire. He can change his cue. He comes through a lad called Stewie Green up in Durham, like just outside Durham. He comes up once every few years and picks up 2 or 3 cues and goes back. And like you say, like you've had your one cue and you can stick with your one cue. But like you said, there's other people who can like pick up other ones and play with other ones. But that definitely wasn't the type of thing that you like to do.
I couldn't do it. I coached Stephen Maguire 2 years ago. I think we had 3 or 4 days together, and that was one of the things we spoke about, cues. And he says, I just keep chopping and changing. And I says, well, do you not think it'd be a good idea to just stick to get used to one cue if you like it, that's it.
Yeah.
Just, even if you have a bad day, it's not the cue, it's probably you. But I think he's still been chopping and changing. But a lot of players are like that. John Higgins has had a wee bit of a reputation of getting bits cut off, added on, changed the cue, whereas I just couldn't do that. I needed my cue because you know the feel, eh?
Yeah. So in '95, you reached the semi-finals of the Welsh Open, beating Stephen Hendry 5-1 in the quarters. Obviously, Stephen was already multiple and the current world champion at the time.
Yeah,
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, he was a current world champion at the time. I mean, I've heard a lot of people mention that when they play people like that, like Stephen Hendry, especially if he was like, you know, it was like an unstoppable force kind of thing in the 90s, they can lose a match even before. I mean, especially now, like with Ronnie, they lose a match before they even play players like that. You obviously weren't from that kind of cut. You know, it didn't seem to matter who you played. You just took each match at a time, and they never seemed like their kind of history or what they have done in the sport never seemed to kind of faze you. Is that fair to say?
No, that's right. I was one of the players. Well, probably after 2-3 seasons on the tour, I just sort of came to the conclusion that it doesn't matter who you're playing.
Yeah,
it's sometimes hard to get out your head who it is you're playing, but when I sat down and thought about it, I thought to myself, you're not actually playing the player. It's me against the balls.
Yes.
Nothing to do with the player. It could be my dad sitting in that seat, or it could be a Sullivan, or anyone in that seat. It doesn't matter. It's when I go to the table, it's me against the balls, not me against Ronnie O'Sullivan or John Higgins. And I think it was when I got that attitude, I kind of thought, everybody's got to give me chances.
Yes.
I've got to just take them when I get to the table. And I think that's important because a lot of people do play the player. They don't play the balls, and it gets stuck in your head who it is that's in the seat.
I think it would be a dream. I think it would be a dream scenario for people to be able to just put, like what you've said, be able to put who they're playing to one side. I mean, I know it's easy for people to say, you know, just play the table. But like you mentioned before, snooker's a lot in the mind. And if you're thinking, shit, if I miss this ball, I'm letting this person in, instead of just like being able to do what you did and just kind of go, that could be playing my dad, I could be playing Hendry, I could be playing O'Sullivan. Doesn't matter. I'm playing the table. When I get a chance, it's my chance at the table.
That's right. It takes practice, eh? But if you're I was quite good at getting in the zone and just nothing. I mean, a bomb could go off 10 feet away and I wouldn't hear it. Like it's so powerful to do, eh?
Yeah.
But when you're in the zone and it's just you and the table and the balls, you didn't notice anything.
I think I remember you saying that. I watched an interview with you at the end of the LG Cup. I mean, I know we're going to talk about that, but you said that it was only when the crowd cheered that you kind of went, "Oh shit!" I totally forgot that you were here.
Yeah, no, I said to myself before the second session of the final, I knew I was going to have to walk down the flight of stairs to the table, and I made a conscious effort of not looking at the crowd because I just thought it put me under a bit more pressure.
Yes.
So I've made a point to just keep my head down, walking down the stairs, no making eye contact with the crowd when I got down to table level, and just walked to my seat. And I didn't look at the crowd once throughout the match. It was just me and zoning in on the table. And then I remember getting the trophy and lifting the trophy up, like where my dad was sitting and my friends and family and whatever. And I just thought, it's absolutely packed.
Where's all these people come from?
Aye, where have they came from? Aye.
Yeah.
So but I was good at blocking things out.
Yeah.
So, but players that aren't as good at blocking things out, that's when they'll notice wee things and might be stuck in their head who it is they're playing and stuff like that. You know, obviously it's not like a magic wand. You win every match. You're still going to lose, but it's good to be able to block things out, you know, and block out who you're playing, you know.
Yeah. You were again a semi-finalist, this time at the 1998 Grand Prix event, and in '99 you were a part of quite an impressive squad for the Nations Cup that made it to the final. You know, there was yourself, there was Hendry, Higgins, Alan McManus. This was played at the Telewest Arena in Newcastle, which is just up the road from me. What was your experience of the Nations Cup, and more importantly, Newcastle?
Probably one of the best experiences of my career, actually. First of all, I love Newcastle.
There we go.
I've been a couple of times to Newcastle. I've been to see Newcastle play Man United as well. Loved Newcastle, but that week was quite a special week for me. Again, it's probably quite close behind the LG Cup as one of my. Well, sorry, mate. I've just realised this battery's going low, sugar, and I've lost the charger.
Oh, it's all right.
Right, we'll keep going now, right? Yes, I was playing with Higgins, Hendry, McManus, ranked 1, 2, and 6 in the world, and I kept getting it drummed into me that I was the weak link at the tournament, and I tried to just forget about that, and in the end, I think I won 19 out of 20 frames.
Yes.
And we still didn't win the event. And when I got home, I thought, how can I win all the frames playing with world number 1, 2, and 6, and we didn't win the tournament? It was like, it just bamboozled me. But it was a great experience, you know, playing with these guys.
You did what you want to do as well with those type of stats.
That's right. It was brilliant, really good. It was probably close second to when I won the LG Cup. Yeah.
So speaking of the LG Cup, I mean, you started as 150-1 outshot, which is just insane. You beaten Ronnie, you beat John Higgins, and then before a 10-5 win over Alan in the final. Now, what I remember, I put this clip on Facebook before because I remember it. I remember you leading. You were 27 points ahead with one red left. Now, the white was just glued to the ball rail, the balk rail, and then you had this long red to take on. You looked like you were thinking about it, what to do. Was it in your mind, I'm just going to go for this? And that has to be kind of one of them shots that's always up there.
I knew I was going for it. The only thing, I actually knew I was potting it, believe it or not, because I'd never missed one like that all week.
Yeah.
I knew I was getting it. The only thing concerning me was then off into the middle bag. And I thought, if I go enough here, he's just going to clear up. And then it's 8-6, I think it would have been.
Yeah.
But I thought, I'm going for it. Doing on the shot, I knew it was going in because, as I say, I hadn't missed any.
Yeah.
Sure enough, centre of the bag, and luckily potted brown and blue and yellow to win the match, you know. But it looked a tough shot, but it was a tough shot, but I was confident it was going in, you know.
Your mindset going into the competition with into the LG Cup, because obviously you played with kind of so much confidence. It was like you knew that just nobody was going to beat you that week. Did you feel that way going into it?
No. Honestly, it was such a strange feeling. As I said earlier, I went into the tournament felt a lot under pressure because I was outside the top 32.
Yeah.
Plus, I just got married and spent a lot of money on the wedding, so I knew I had to go off to a good start. So I went down, beat Mark Davis 5-0, and then after that, I just felt like a sort of new person.
Yeah.
And actually, I beat Joe Perry 5-2 to get to the last 16. And I just knew for that moment, I knew I was winning it. It was strange. I phoned my wife and I said, go and go out and buy a new dress for the final. And she went, what do you mean? And I says, I'm winning this. And she went, but you've got John Higgins next. I went, it doesn't matter. I said, I know I'm winning this, so just go out and buy a dress. So, but that was only, I didn't say that to anybody else bar my wife. So anyway, I beat John Higgins, and I then had Ronnie O'Sullivan next. And it was like somebody had just taken over my body. My mate was down with me, Willie, and he said, Ronnie's next, it's got to be tough. And I says, Ronnie's not in my league. Like, I'll destroy him. And my friends looking at me as if to say, what's he on about? But I just knew. Anyway, I went 4-0 up against Ronnie in the quarters, and it was like I burst my dressing room door down. And I said to my mate, I says, I told you. I says, well, Ronnie's not a problem. And it was like somebody took over my body, just so much self-belief. And yeah. I remember walking about the hotel saying to myself, I'm the best player in the world. Like, nobody can touch me, and just kept carrying on until I won it, you know.
But going on and winning it, like, that just goes to show the amount of self-belief that some people can kind of carry with them. And like you say, you were just, I'm not losing this competition. You could put God himself in front of us, and I'm going through him, type of thing. There's no one that's going to beat me this week. And feeling that way. I mean, had you ever felt that way before? Was it just like
no? That was the first tournament that I played like how I knew I could play. Like, that's how I sort of played in practice.
Yes.
The final wasn't great, but I suppose it was my first final. A lot of nerves and stuff, but I still knew I was going to win. But that was my only regret. That tournament was, the final wasn't a great standard. But I mean, my excuse was it was my first major final. McManus, he had been in a few, but I just, if I'd have played really well in the final, that would have just topped the whole tournament off. But at the end of the day, it was the result that mattered.
Yeah, I mean, would you say that's kind of the highlight of your career? Kind of put a one on a personal note as well, because and also kind of a proudest moment, because it was such a tough field that you came through. It wasn't that you just got an easy route and you kind of managed to no one bluffs away to like a semis or a final, but like you had to go through some like the top players in the world to get to where you were.
Yeah. It was quite a hard route actually for round one straight through to the final. But I suppose when you know you've got to play well, it keeps you on your toes, Whereas if you get a match that you think, I should win this, then the butterflies aren't quite the same, and do you know what I mean? You're not fully charged up. So it was probably good that I had a tough draw the whole tournament, and it just kept me on, like I knew I had to keep playing well, you know. And it was such a great feeling at the end of it, because it was basically that's what I was working towards, and eventually got there, you know. So, but I can remember after winning it, I wasn't really that excited, because I knew, well, I wasn't sure if that would be my last season or 2 seasons to go. It was just a bit uncertain, you know. So I wasn't as happy as what I would have been under normal circumstances, you know.
Yeah. Did you used to practice much with? I mean, like, I know your fellow countrymen. You had Hindley and Higgins and Allen and all. Did you practice with them at all?
Yes, I practiced with Hendry and Higgins, Billy Snadden, Ewan Henderson. He was my best man. He stopped to join the police force. He got to a major final as well, you know. I had a lot of good practice partners. And I practiced with Hendry for a good 6-9 months at one point as well, which was good. Just sharpened you up, you know. So I had a lot of good practice partners. But I quite enjoyed doing a lot of the work on my own as well, you know. So maybe 4 days a week practicing on my own and 2 days getting matches. I always felt you learned more playing on my own, you know.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of players kind of think like they need that match practice, but obviously, you were using them few days to practice for Stephen, and obviously you didn't get many better players than Stephen Hendry in the 90s. And then, like you say, you enjoyed also practicing, and you could stay motivated practicing on your own as well.
Oh, I used to work on a lot of things on my own, just long shots that I felt I was weak at, rest play. I felt I was quite weak at that, and then the more I practiced, I actually got into the groove and not missing much with the rest. So again, it's just a lot of it is practice, just repetition all the time, and you just get into a habit of doing the same thing. But then I did enjoy a bit of match play as well, because then you're gauging your game against other top players, which always held my own, even against Hendry. I done okay against him in practice, so you're playing quite well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you were really struggling health-wise at the time. For those who were kind of unaware of exactly what you were going through, would you be able to talk about it and kind of when it started for you, Chris?
Aye, it was probably around 1998, I think, roughly. I knew something wasn't right. I was getting a lot of back pain, and I remember playing John Higgins in the last 16 of the UK, and John beat me 9-5. And after the match, I just thought, my back doesn't feel right in my neck. I just knew it wasn't normal pain, and then I mind one morning I was having a shower and the pain in my neck was just unbelievable. So I thought, right, because I had the private medical insurance through the Snooker, I just phoned up Murrayfield Hospital, got an appointment. They saw me, done a lot of tests, and I mean, even at one point they did say to me, we'll test you for bone cancer. So when I heard that, I thought, Jesus. My God, touch wood, hopefully it's not going to be that, Yeah. And then I remember going to see the consultant, and he says to me, well, I've got good news and bad news. He says, the good news is it's not bone cancer. The bad news is it's a disease called ankylosing spondylitis, which means really you should just really hang up your cue right now. Oh. And when he said that to me, I was like, I just gutted. I remember walking out and just sitting in the car park. You can look over the whole of Edinburgh in this car park. And I just remember looking at the city, just thinking to myself, is that my career over? I mean, I was only, 26 or something at the time. And I just kind of made a conscious decision, right? That doesn't matter what he says, I'm going to keep playing and just keep playing till I can't stand. That was my attitude,
Ankylosing spondylitis, it's like like an inflammation, like a massive inflammation of the like your spine and the C's and up around the neck. Is that kind of when you said you were in the shower and you felt it and you were like, was that just kind of like the onstart of it?
That was the onstart, basically pain and just a bit of stiffness.
Yeah.
And then now my neck's just rigid basically. I've got some movement but not a lot. And I just knew that things weren't quite right. I probably would have stopped earlier, but my consultant says to me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start giving you steroid injections so as you can keep playing. And I says, aye, no problem. He says, as soon as you feel it's wearing off, just phone up, get another appointment, I'll give you another one. So I think I was going about once a week to get one of these jags. Wow. And then at one point he said, you've now got osteoporosis because of all the injections. But he didn't warn me beforehand that could give me osteoporosis. So I was kind of a bit annoyed with him at the same time, but then it gave me an extra 3-4 years playing, So it's been a bit topsy-turvy, but in the end it just got too much and I had no option but to stop,
And that was it not long before you actually stopped when it hit you? When did it kind of hit you that you were like, you know what, I have to do this now?
last season, I mean, I got myself into the top 16.
Yeah.
And basically, that's when it hit me.
Oh, Jesus.
Couldn't have happened at a worse time, you know.
Yeah.
I remember, in fact, my last season as a pro, I didn't win a match the whole season. My last match was against Sean Murphy in the World Championships, and Sean went on and won the tournament. And then I remember trying to practice mid-season, during the close season, and I just thought, I couldn't even get into my stance or get my neck up high enough to see the balls. And that was it.
Well, like what you said though, but like earlier when we were talking about it, you said that although you were talented, you had to really practice hard and practice really hard to maintain that standard. So if that practice was taken away from you, like, no wonder. I mean, obviously coming into a match, you're going to be like, I've had no practices or anything.
Yeah, that's right. The thing is, though, I couldn't even, if I played 2 frames, I was shattered.
Yeah.
So I could have turned up and played a tournament, but what's the point? I could have stayed on another year and just took the money and withdrew for tournaments, but I just thought somebody could have my place, like a youngster, or I mean, I was a waste of time me playing, so I thought just give up and somebody can take my place, you know. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, but I had no option, and it took me a good few years to even come to terms with it.
Yeah. I mean, you went straight into coaching, Chris. I mean, what was the process to becoming a coach, Chris? I mean, and I bet, not long after that, you kind of had to give up coaching as well. I mean, that must have been an absolute nightmare. Not especially for someone like yourself that had played professional snooker at such a high level. Yeah. Like, it must have been doubly devastating to find out that you were going to have to stop being a coach as well. I bet you were thinking, Jesus, how do
I? To be honest, I was a mess for years.
Yeah.
After giving up, I started coaching just a lot of youngsters and stuff, and then eventually I thought, I need to stop this as well. It was just so painful.
Yeah.
But then I got a new medication, which is probably the best medication that I've been on. Just injections, basically. And I started feeling a bit better about myself, and I just thought, well, I'm going to have to do something to earn money and support my family and stuff. So I actually sat a coaching course with Nick Barrow. I went down to see Nick for, I think it was 5 days.
Yeah.
Sat my course with him. And then that was it, really. Just set up my own business and whatever. So I'm actually in the middle of trying to arrange to get a snooker room built in my garden.
Yeah.
So I'm getting quotes in at the moment as we speak. As soon as I get a quote I like, I'll be starting the process, So I think a lot of my clients will enjoy it more because they're in a private room. Yes. Nobody can pester you, nice peace and quiet, So I'm looking forward to getting that done eventually. Hopefully I'll have it finished by early summer,
And it'll be a full-on one-on-one as well. Like you said, there won't be any distractions. It'll be you, your client, and you'll be... I think that'll be
That's
brilliant.
Right. Yeah. Plus, I've never really been able to do this before because I've been in a club and there's no much room, but I'll be able to get a TV in the room, film the sessions and stuff like that as well, whereas I've not really been able to do that before. So it's going to benefit me in the long run if I can get this done,
You've made a really big name for yourself as a top coach. I was asked by Rebecca Kenner, the number 4 woman in the world, also a coach herself. Now, she asked us to ask you. She says, "I know that Chris is a well-respected coach, and I'd like to know a question from you: how the numbers stack up for the men, boys, and kind of." How it's coached with them compared to the girls and women, and if you have any ideas on how to get kind of more girls picking up a cue and giving it a go.
Well, I've actually had a few women over in the past, not a lot, maybe I don't know 3, 4, I think it's more because a lot of girls or women don't play snooker.
Yeah.
They'd rather play pool. So I've not really had a lot of women inquiring for lessons. They would maybe want to go and see a pool coach, for instance, if they were wanting to improve their game. But I must admit, I've always found it a wee bit awkward coaching women, because if it's a guy, I can always go up to behind them and touch them on the shoulder and stuff, and say, right, and position their body how I'm wanting them to do things. And whereas when it's a woman, you always think it's not quite right. Touch it, do you know what I mean? Touching them and stuff. So I've always found that a wee bit awkward, but I mean, I always work around it, you know. But as I say, it's 99% of my clients are male. But I mean, I'm not into pool much myself, but I have noticed lately that there is a lot of women enjoy playing pool, which is a good sign. But it's always snooker's a lot harder a game, you know, bigger table, and I think a lot of the women just like to see the balls going in the pocket and stuff. So it's always going to be hard to attract women to the game, you know, which is unfortunate. But I mean, the women that we have got at the moment, they're quite a high standard. I even noticed high. Rebecca. I've seen a couple of her videos online and watched her in the shootout, even although
she was unlucky, I know.
Aye, even although she lost, she was unfortunate with the time clock, but I did think, she's got a nice technique, nice action, you know, she looks like she could be a player, you know? Yeah,
well, that's one of the things I noticed about her when I first saw. And I think as well, getting back to what we were saying just before about coaching, but the fact that she's a female coach, I don't know whether that her being a really one of the top players in the world and being a female coach, that in itself could attract more women, whereas maybe a woman might feel a bit uncomfortable getting taught by a man. I mean, I'm coming from a complete I
mean, I suppose Rebecca, if she gets a good name for herself in the coaching, a lot of women, even pool players that want to improve their game, might think, I feel a bit more comfortable going to see a woman, you know? So maybe that's something Rebecca would maybe even focus on, getting a lot of women clients, you know?
Yeah. So what do you do, Chris, when you're away from the table? What do you do to kind of chill out, apart from when you're building snooker rooms in the back of your garden, obviously?
Well, I used to be one for playing cards a lot with my friends and that, you know, to chill out, but I don't do that anymore. If I'm not at the table, I'm normally watching Hibs. You've probably not even heard of Hibs.
I've heard of Hibs, of course.
I've got my season ticket holder at Easter Road, so obviously I've not seen them for about a year now with the lockdown and stuff. But I like to chill out at a Hibs match, take my son, go to the odd away game, go to cup finals and semi-finals, things like that, you know. But to be honest, apart from that, now I've not got much time to do anything, because when I'm coaching, I mean, sometimes I'm coaching 7 days a week. Normally at least 5, sometimes 6. So on the odd day off now, I just quite enjoy spending time with my wife, taking the dog out for a nice walk and chilling out that way, you know. But,
you mentioned the dog, and the dog started barking.
Aye, I know. He likes to be back to himself. But if I get a day off, I quite enjoy just out with my wife, my kids and the dog, go a nice walk and just chill out, recharge my batteries for going back to coaching the next again day, you know, because I've still got to watch with my back and neck. It can take a lot out of me still, so I've got to watch that I don't overdo it, you know.
So even with kind of like the injections that you're on now, like you can do train a bit, teach a bit, but it's more like the stand up and teaching people the right way of doing things technique wise. And but if you were to try and copy it, it would soon start to hurt.
No, I find it's more if I'm just on my feet all day. Right. I start getting quite a painful back and hips, really. But I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine showing my clients how to play certain shots, and it's just that if I was to play frame after frame, I've just got no chance of doing that, So I'm fine for the coaching and playing a few shots, showing them how to play the shot and stuff like that. It's more if I'm on my feet for 10 hours.
Yeah.
The hips start playing up in the back, and you can just feel it like eating away, Pop a few painkillers till the end of the session,
Did you watch the shootout last week?
I did. I always enjoy it.
You like it?
It's just something different, and especially during lockdown, there's nothing on the telly, So
no.
It's great just to pass a few hours, and it's good to see some lesser known guys and even some of the amateurs doing well. I was rooting for the amateurs just so as they could get a wee bit of money.
Well, I've had last week I had Louis Heathcote on.
Yes.
And Louis's a really, really good up and coming talent. He's such a nice guy, and he got to the quarter final. It's like you're through the quarters of a ranking event the year after. I mean, these lads, there was other lads there as well that they've never. Don't know when the longer matches, you don't know how many times they're going to make a ranking event. One of the lads hadn't even qualified for Q School, and there he is sitting in a quarter final of a ranking event.
That's right. I know it's good money for them if they can. Well, there was Craig Steadman. He's not on the tour at the moment. I think he got the semis. So I don't know, 10 grand, 8 grand, whatever he got. That's nice money for him. Unexpected money. So,
I know. Good ranking points as well. The ranking points.
Aye, that's right. Aye, yeah. So I was rooting for the underdogs. Anybody can win a frame,
Yeah.
But then it turned out two classy players in the final, So. But I enjoy watching the shootout. It's good, something different.
A lot of people say that it shouldn't be a ranking event, but I think it should be. I just think, why not? It's got.
I don't think it should myself, but I think it's good for the viewers and just having it as a one-off tournament. But I don't feel it should be a ranked event. I mean, 7 frames and you're a world ranked event winner? Just doesn't sound right. But and 10 minutes a frame, but
obviously coming from yourself who's done it the hard way. Yeah.
But I mean, Barry Hearn's done great for the game. So I mean, you can't. The players know what it is before they enter it. So if you didn't like it, you didn't enter it. And if you do like it, you put your name in. Simple as that. Like all the other tournaments.
It's like seeing Michael Holt win it last year was great as well, because he's someone who's always been in and around, and then it's like you say, it's 40, 50 minutes work, and that's it. It's not bad money.
That's right. Aye, Michael, I got on well with Michael on the tour, and he's a nice guy, good laugh, great player. Yeah. I've always rated Michael Holt over the years. Just
me too.
Such a great player, and he's never won anything apart from the shootout, So it was good to see him winning that and lifting the trophy, But it was nice to see my old mate Anthony Hamilton win the German Masters as well.
Yeah.
Was that 2 years ago maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I was good buddies with Anthony on the tour. Me and him went to Australia for a fortnight and stuff, and I was delighted to see Anthony winning a tournament, and Mark King as well.
I've heard Anthony is an unbelievable. I mean, not obviously he's a great player, but they say in practice, the guy never misses. He's a machine. I mean, obviously you'll know more than other people, but is that true?
Yeah, I've never practiced with Anthony. I've played him. We had a good few matches as a pro, but I've heard, you can tell, as a pro, he can go 100. So if he's doing that in a match, he's got to do that in practice without trying. So, that goes back to what I said before. There's a lot of great players, and there's probably about 80% of it's all upstairs in the head.
Yeah.
I mean, I was quite weak mentally for years as well. You would need to speak to them, obviously, but maybe that was a problem. Anthony Hamilton and Michael Holt just weren't strong enough mentally. But then once you sort that out, that's when you're giving yourself a chance to win big events,
Well, Chris, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I've already taken up quite a lot of your Saturday. It's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure talking with you. And like I said, I'm a big fan of yours. So thank you for taking a bit of time out to come and have a little bit chat with us. I've absolutely loved it, mate.
No problem, Kevin. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks, Chris.
Cheers, mate.
See you, mate. Bye.
Cheers.